Hello, you're watching Telecom TV. I'm Guy Daniels, and in today's program we are going to look at the current state of the Open RAN ecosystem, covering the latest technical developments, standards work and industry challenges. And I'm joined today by Ladan Pickering, who is Strategic Product Planner at Fujitsu. Hello, Ladan. Very good to meet you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program. Well, can I start by asking you, how do you see the state of the Open RAN sector today?
There has been steady progress in O-RAN deployment. We actually see that there are operators, new operators and existing operators that are deploying O-RAN. In North America, we see Dish and TELUS. In Japan, we see NTT Docomo. And in Europe, we see Deutsche Telekom and other operators that are actually deploying O-RAN in their networks. So there is steady progress. We are seeing some challenges that steady we are overcoming these challenges.
Well, let's pick up on those, should we? What would you say are some of the key challenges that you are seeing that could impact the development of Open RAN?
Yes, so as we have been deploying ORAN for the last few years, a lot of these challenges we have overcome them. We had started with the layer one part of the network, and now we are steady going up the stack to the applications and the reg. The recent heavy reading report of the operators, they see that there is a healthy ecosystem, and there is a variety of operators that are using the networks, and they believe the state of the network on ORAN is very healthy or fairly healthy. But some of the challenges see are, for example, on the interfaces. The R1 interface that provides data to the applications and write back the data and affect the network. Those interfaces are not well defined. The E2 and O1 interfaces, the DU and CU vendors that are providing those interfaces, they really are hesitant to completely deploy the interfaces and provide access to them. So there's a challenge. The applications that run on the network, they need the data in order to function. Other challenges that we see are related to separation of the life cycle management of the application versus the actual functioning of the applications. In addition to that, we also see operators have a lot of applications that existing today on their brownfield, the SON applications, and they need to move that into ORAN. They want to have one platform that they can maintain and run all of these applications. So bringing those applications into ORAN, there are challenges associated with that. So these are a number of challenges that we are seeing, but gradually, little by little, we are overcoming them. So they are not, it just will take some time and some effort, and they will be overcome.
Well, thanks for that update, Ladan. And we'll come on to covering the ecosystem in some more detail in a moment. But I just want to go back to, you talked about the definition of interfaces as perhaps one of the challenges that we still have to overcome. So if I can look at the specification work a moment, and in terms of industry standards and technical specification work, what is the current situation there?
Yeah, so if you look at, for example, R1 interfaces, which is how the applications interface to the rig on the non-real-time rig and the network, the specifications are very high level. And what we are seeing on the operator side, there is no clear definition as if these interfaces are going to be REST-based or Kafka bus-based. And, the app vendors will have to customize their applications in order to fit into what the operators believe the standards are. Or the standards will be. So we really need to put in more effort into standardizing for example, R1 interfaces. In addition to that, some of the challenges that I see operators have, ORAN has defined the E2 and O1 interfaces, or even O2 interfaces, but they haven't really clarified how these O1 and O2 interfaces that come into the SMO, they translate into these R1 interfaces that apps need. And clearly they need to be some level of adaptation. And I see some operators are actually seeing that and building those adaptations. But for the operators that are kind of starting to look at it, there is no clear visibility on how this adaptation from O1, O2 to R1 will happen. So we need to put in more focus. And one of the things we are hoping to do as part of working with operators and other vendors is to clarify these interfaces and contribute them back into ORAN.
Great. Well, we'll look forward to seeing more progress there. Now, from the outset, Open RAN was designed to support a broad ecosystem of players. But what stage of maturity do you think the Open RAN ecosystem is at the moment?
Well, based on a heavy reading report that came in 2024, there is a healthy ecosystem of vendors that are available. But, just like the lower layer level one stack that we have been working on, we need to have a variety of vendors to be able to really innovate and speed up the rate of innovation. Right now, the number of the RIC vendors are not as we hope to have. With larger number of RIC vendors, the ecosystem and the apps will be healthier. So we hope that there would be a larger number of RIC vendors or opportunities for RIC vendors, because they will have a lot of control over the data that comes into the applications. In addition to that, we need to have marketplaces that would allow operators to have easy access into who are the available vendors that can provide the applications, what do their applications do, instead of the current the way the current system is, where the RIC vendors and small vendors or the current existing vendors into the network are offering their own apps. So I think we have room for improvement, and hopefully in time we will see more improvement. One of the things that is going to help us is the government-funded labs. As these labs such as ORCID or Accord bring in multi-vendor, some of the challenges will be resolved and some of the complexities will be removed as part of the work that is being done in these labs.
Great. So, you covered areas such as more RIC vendors required, a better marketplace. What do you see as any specific challenges that the ecosystem faces that might prevent some of this from actually happening?
Right. I think the challenge is more actually on the smaller vendors. Larger vendors, such as Fujitsu, we have a full stack. We do have labs that we can experiment with, and we do have expertise to know how ORAN works and how different layers of the software works. What is different about ORAN is not just about RAN. It also requires virtualization. It requires knowledge of the software. It requires knowledge of IP networking in addition to RF. So we do have larger companies have better advantage. So some of the work that needs to be done to help the ecosystem, specifically smaller vendors, is provide lab access to them, including access to different stacks of vendors. And we are actually working with some of our partners. We allow them to bring in their network components into our lab to integrate with our applications. We are accessing their labs and have our software access their stack in their lab where they have only certain components but not a full stack. So there are work that we are doing to improve, and I think with time and these government funded projects, it will improve in time.
That's good to hear. I have a final question for you because we know that Fujitsu is heavily involved in Open RAN. So can you share some of the latest developments from Fujitsu and what you are doing to solve some of the challenges that you've spoken about today?
Yes. So we are committed at Fujitsu, we are committed to open networking. Some of the recent announcements that we have had are related to a RIC platform that we have just GA'd and are available for operators to use. We are heavily involved in government-funded labs, the Accord Lab and Orchid Lab. We are building applications that will control not only the ORAN network, but also brownfield network. We will be announcing those in Mobile World Congress. And as you know, we are committed to open standards. And as we work with operators and other ecosystem partners, we will contribute back our learnings and our findings into the alliance.
Well, it's very encouraging to hear, but we must leave it there for now. Ladan, thank you very much for sharing your views with us today.
Thank you.